the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AVWeek, episode 140, recorded Saturday, April 26th, 2014. Lync. AVWeek is brought to you by Middle Atlantic Products and their TechPed technology pedestals. Middle Atlantic Products, what great systems are built on.
Ready.
AVWeek.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AVWeek. This is AVWeek, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name's Tim Albright. Hi, how are you? That's the logo there, so let's get rid of that. This week on AVWeek, we're going to be talking about some pro stuff, some Resi stuff, some Internet of Things stuff. Aero, one of my favorite cutting the cable companies, is going to court, Supreme Court no less, this week, so we'll talk about that. But first, let's welcome our guests. A first-timer, a really cool guy that I didn't meet at the BLC, but I met his dad and some other cool folks from Atlas Sound. His name is John Ivey from Atlas Sound. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Thank you, Tim, for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming. George Tucker, the left and right side of my brains today because I'm fried. He's from World Stage and AVWeek and AVNation and all that jazz. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Last but not least, a 2-for-1 deal. The one on the left, his name's Chris Netto from, he's from AV Help Desk, but also from Red Band. And the guy on the right is Todd Anthony Puma, also from Red Band. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Well, I'm doing well. What are you doing?
I'm doing really well.
All right.
Yeah, well, so whose house are we in? Or did you guys break into somebody else's house?
This is not anybody's house. We're actually working on somebody's house.
You're working on somebody's house. Okay, I see.
We had about 15 minutes before the alarm goes off, so
that's excellent.
Let's make it quick.
So one of you screwed up somebody's programming somewhere. That's why you're there. All right. As we've been doing all month, AVNation and AVWeek is brought to you by Middle Atlantic Products and their TechPed technology pedestals. Yeah, it's a really cool conference table with racks in it. Middle Atlantic Products, what great systems are built on. Check them out because, yeah, it's. I said this last week, and I'll say it during the live read. I did a job just last week that I swear to you, I wrote the program in January. I've been done with this job since then, and I've been working on this custom millwork since then. So I wish I would have known about their TechPed back in January because I would have spec'd it then. First up, we are just about 2 months out, actually less than 2 months out. Today is the 26th of April, so we're less than 6 weeks out from, or less than 8 weeks out from InfoComm. One of the biggest, one of the platinum sponsors, let's just start there, is Microsoft. And this week, Tim Kreidel wrote a piece in the All Voices blog for InfoComm saying that Microsoft Lync, this is what they're going to be showing. This is what they're going to be coming with. This is Microsoft's foray into Pro AV. So, gentlemen, this is what you're here for, to get your 2 cents on this. First question is he right? Is this what Microsoft's doing? Is this where they're going? And this is the Lync is their hook into Pro AV. George, what say you? Is this how Microsoft's getting into AV, and this is what they're going to be showing primarily at InfoComm?
Well, I don't think it's what they're going to primarily be showing. No.
Okay.
I think that would be everyone and their brother showed some sort of piggyback onto this last year. Whether it was AMX, Crestron, and all the other guys, yeah. Somebody and everybody had a logo in the corner somewhere that said they were doing something with it. So I'd be very surprised if that was all they came with, because it would be like, really? Is it a foray? Sure. Just as any other teleconferencing company is doing a version of that anyway. Microsoft has an install base, and they have that Microsoft Outlook server stuff. This is something they've been working on for a couple of years now, though. If you're an Outlook user and you upgraded within the last 4 years, you've noticed that there are elements of social connection in it. There's a place to put pictures, their contact references, call them directly, use it's escaping my mind now, but the Microsoft communicator that they put out.
Their IM or
yeah, their IM plus a video one. There's ways to do that, so you can have on-the-fly conferencing via Outlook. Or at least that was the plan, and that's what I think Lync is. So everyone's already piggybacking on it. It's a nice sort of freebie, I guess, to get onto. But I don't think it's their only element, and I think there's much more to come.
John, you guys have a number of IP products, IP speakers and stuff like that. Is this does it make sense, I guess, for that to be where Microsoft is headed to go? We're going to try to get this soft codec, because let's be honest, that's what it is. It's a software-based video conferencing system where you put it on a PC, you put it on a piece of hardware, and then you've got to get audio and video to it, and you've got to get audio and video out of it. Does that make sense for them to be showing primarily a soft codec, or is it maybe something else going on? Maybe they might be leading with that, but they might be having something over here in the corner and say, by the way, you should check this out because this is really what we're showing.
Right. So all of us use Skype, Google Hangouts, a lot of these other video conferencing programs, which we leave our Outlook or whatever we're doing for productivity that day to go use a secondary service, right? I can see Microsoft getting a foothold into that. But at the BLC, as you mentioned, I was talking with John Laughlin from CTI and Eric. I think he was on your show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they were disclosing some of the magic sauce of having really, truly good video conferencing. It can't just be a webcam from a laptop to 27 different people around the world. That really doesn't create the proper experience. You need similar rooms, similar conference tables, really good cameras. To make that virtual presence a reality. So I'm interested to see if this is just going to be another video messaging, Skype kind of thing where it's easier to access through Outlook, or if they're really going to take it to the next level where Lync can truly be a very high resolution, high fidelity, high intelligibility contender in the marketplace. And then where's the payoff for the manufacturers? Where's the payoff for the integrators?
Well, real quickly before we get away from that, does it need to be high fidelity? Does it need to be this high end? Because the reason I ask is because I came from education, right? And yes, we had our first Polycom VTC was put in like 05 or 04. It was $100,000, right? And the next one was considerably less than that because it was 5 or 6 years later. And then if you put one in today, a codec system is going to cost you, again, depending on who you use, somewhere between the neighborhood of $5,000 and $15,000. But you've got but you've got these professors who walk in with their iPads or something else, and they want to bring in somebody on Skype, right? So that's why or Google Hangouts. Nothing against either. Love them both. I've used them both. That's how we launched this network. But it's not a 1080p camera. That's why I'm asking. Does it have to be high fidelity?
I think it does,
Okay.
and I don't feel like I'm in the room with you right now, Tim.
Sure.
Or George or Chris, right? We're all on Hangouts right now, and I would get perturbed if we collaborated like this for more than an hour, right? Where a lot of our meetings corporately, we have a video conferencing system, and we sit around it, and we feel like we're in the same room. Okay. It doesn't bother us to sit there for 3 to 4 to 5 hours. Everyone's heard, everyone's seen. And it really is an extension of the conference room we're in, not something that's done remotely like this. So I really do believe there's magic sauce to video conferencing, and a lot of that has to do with the interaction, how comfortable it is. How much do you feel like the person you're wanting to get your point across to is right there on the other side of the table, even if they're on the other side of the world?
No, that's a good point. That's a very good point because I don't feel like I'm in the with George, but I know George, so.
But I have to ask this though. But are we fighting the same battle we did with MP3s?
Well, I think
qualitatively, I get what you're saying, and for a long, maybe high Fortune 500, Fortune 100 company, I can see that. But for the workaday startups, the entrepreneurs who are doing stuff like this, they're already accustomed to doing it this way with maybe just a slightly better camera and a little bit, slightly better audio, but not the degrees you're talking about. Now, I agree with you, and I wish it were that way, but I really fear we're having that fight between MP3 or FLAC or uncompressed, and I don't know.
Well, there's already a solution out there for that. We're on it right now. There's Hangouts, there's Skype, etc. So the only thing I see is that they're making it easier to access. They're making it part of the native application that you're using on a daily basis. Right? I love Mac, and I use Outlook because we have Exchange servers at work. So would we switch over because we have Exchange servers to this platform? Yeah, sure. If it works better, there's less latency. Yeah, probably. But would I really want to use it when I have 25, 35 people sitting around the table that are paid serious dollars per hour? Probably not. Well, unless it's as quality of the current conferencing system we use, where all the rooms look similar, we all feel like we're together, the intelligibility is amazing, there's very little, if any, latency. That's where I think they're going to have to hit. Now, if they start bringing down the price of that magic sauce, right, where we all feel like we're in the same room, what's in it for the integrator? What does it do to promote our business?
Well, here's the catch on that. It doesn't. It becomes a flat panel, right? And I hate to say that because a lot of integrators, that's how they made their bones in the industry, and now they're you get to the point where they have to evolve into something else, but it doesn't. I mean, then you become the conduit for getting that video in and out. Like I said. Because Lync, you've got Fuse, you have a number of other different soft codecs. There are companies out there that are making the connection points, right? There are they'll take high quality video, high quality audio, convert it into USB or convert it into a signal that the computer can use in the software based codec, and then the software takes it from there.
Well, Tim, my concern is. Our customers are integrators. Yeah. And what integrators were paid for many, many years is to make all of this stuff work together, right? You walk into a conference room, you push one button, projector comes on, amplifier comes up, microphones come on, it all works flawlessly. And as if good enough is okay, like MP3s, it doesn't do us any good. That's not where our magic is as an industry. Our magic is making the experience amazing. Right? Yep. Simple to use. And so as these other good enough technologies come in, it really concerns me that if our industry embraces them, and again, I don't know what Microsoft's going to show, but unless it adds value to our integration dealer base, and unless it provides an amazing experience, it concerns me. I don't want good enough to ever be good enough. Right? That's not what our industry does. Good enough would be a residential speaker in a commercial application. Yeah, can you hear it? Okay. Is the intelligibility good? Nah, probably not. Yeah, right. I want us to provide and continue to provide amazing experiences. Again, I have no vested interest in Microsoft, so I can say these things that it concerns me unless it's amazing.
Well, no, it's a good point. I mean, we need to keep providing these exceptional experiences for. I'm an integrator, so for our clients, right? And guys like John help me do that as an integrator, keep delivering these experiences. And sometimes as an integrator, you're hamstrung a little bit, right? I was at a job site on Friday where I sat there for 3 hours trying to recreate a failure, honestly, and it didn't fail. It was wonderful. It was I responded to email for 3 hours, but it's a system where there are nice speakers in the ceiling. There are nice overhead microphones, and there's great camera. But the interface to the outside world is a computer with Fuse and also Lync on it, and you are hamstrung because at that point it's what exactly is failing, right? What's causing the issue? And when I've got all of my different whiz-bang little monitors up and I'm watching everything from our end, and unfortunately, it's still an our end and their end, right? There's still IT guys over there with computers. From our end, and I don't see anything happening, and I'll go at 7 o'clock on Monday morning because that's when they're having their next actual live meeting, and I'll sit there for another 3 hours with all of my little monitors and hope pretty God something fails that we can at least diagnose. But we're hamstrung because there are these pieces, little by little, where they're not ours, right? They're not ours to control anymore. They're not ours to spec. And all we can do as integrators is say, here's our list of things that we have control over. And it's none of these things. So let's start looking at the things that it's not, right? Or the things that we don't have control over that it might be affecting it.
Right, but as integrators, I believe our industry has to work closer with the network guys. So it's still going to be our problem. And from a manufacturer, I sell IP speakers, right? About 70% of the failures I get back, which is less than 1%, but 70% of the less than 1% I get back are no problem found. And we have to pick up the phone and call the network guy and go, it's your network. Are you running multicast or unicast? Do you have gigabit switches? What's going on? And a lot of times they're going, no. Especially if there's an AV guy in the building, right? Yeah. Then we have to get past him and say, what switches are you running? Are they really PoE, et cetera, right? So we as an industry have to do that better, because if it fails, just like they called you, Tim, or they would call myself because my name is on the back of that product, they automatically think it's the thing in the room they can see. Yep. When very well, all of our product can work perfectly. But as soon as it hits that computer, it could be a multitude of things over the network or within the computer, et cetera, but we're still getting blamed for it.
Yep.
Right? So that's just what I tell all my integration partners. I'm like, listen, guys, you need a partner that does this stuff, or you guys got to learn to do it, or hire some staff that can do it, because we're all going onto the network.
Yep.
It's a reality. It's happening already. We got CobraNet, we got Dante, AVB, VoIP, and some proprietary ones as Atlas has. We are all going there. So we better understand what happens after our perfect signal hits that RJ jack, right?
Yep.
And what happens, because if it comes out poorly on the other end, it's still our fault. At least they think it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They may be running a 56K modem, for crying out loud, and you wouldn't know it. So, Mr. Neto, let's kick it with you first. What's Microsoft doing? Are they going to bring Lync in full force, or what are we talking about?
Absolutely. And I say that with confidence because that is what everybody wants to talk about in the corporate world. I mean, that's where I spend my days on site. So I see, and I'm in there in those meetings with the IT people. I work under an IT division in my my daily basis. Though I'm an AV consultant, I'm the AV guy in a room full of IT nerds. And Lync is at the tip of their tongue. That's the first thing that they talk about. The acceptance of good enough versus not good enough. It's hard. It's hard because you have to put yourself in an IT mindset, okay? First thing, the computer that they're going to be using for Lync, all right, is going to be a computer that was sent out to bid to integrators, not to integrators, to PC manufacturers to get the cheapest and best product that they can for the money, okay? Right off the bat, you're not going to get a good video board, you're not going to get a good soundboard, you're not going to get the extra stuff that you need or would want to power these Lync calls. You'll have good enough in there. So it starts right there at the laptop, okay? And then you're hoping that holds up, and then you connect to the network, all right? The concern on the IT side is if we light up Lync or video to everybody on a campus environment, you're going to see, it would be like a comedy sketch in a movie where, everybody starts making Lync calls and the lights start dimming. Alarms are going off. Nuclear guys are, hitting the power switches. This is Chevy Chase and Christmas Vacation. This is exactly what's happening. Everybody goes on Lync. Everything starts failing. And it starts at the PC. Unfortunately, we're the easy ones to blame because when you associate video, the first thing, regardless that it's Lync and it's a PC-based, soft-based application, it's still a video call, and video becomes that deceiving term. Mm-hmm. So where we have been for years pumping out, the best quality in the video and the audio side and integrating amps and speakers and trying to get that perfect environment, we could do all that. But the anchor is going to be the hardware that they're using and the network, obviously. And then from an IT mentality, good enough has always been good enough for IT. Look at how they support clients. 24-hour turnarounds with tickets. There's no calls. There's no staff. There's nobody running to your desk anymore. If your computer fails, you throw that out and you get another one. Then you got to reset all your settings. We are not in that business. We've never been in that business. On-site support people don't have 24 hours to respond to stuff. So now Lync failures happen on a corporate on a corporate or campus basis. What do? Do you call the AV guys to come help, or you call your IT desktop specialists? There's probably like 2 left on campus because the rest is all phone support. And what are they going to do? Reboot your PC? I mean, we talked about this on Friday, Tim.
Yeah.
These laptops and stuff that the corporate customers are dishing out, do they have the memory to run multiple applications? Because they could have Windows open with 4 Excel sheets. They could have the Lync going. They could have Outlook going. This is all draining out of your PC. And then there's one hiccup in audio, and it's a failure in video. And it becomes my problem. Unfortunately, it's a complicated situation. All we can do is put what we think is the best thing that the computer can output to a decent amp, to a set of speakers, to a nice monitor. And we have to explain, and this is what we do on a daily basis, is that is just when you sit at your desk with your laptop and you dock it. You got a monitor, you get speakers. You don't call me if that thing fails. But because you're in a conference room and it's the same setup essentially for these Lync things, you're going to call me and I'm going to get yelled at. So it's an education thing, and it really needs the same battle that we've been fighting with architects and designers of spaces, that they need to work with AV to integrate technology into spaces. That same battle happens on a daily basis with IT professionals who put a jack in the wall and their job is done. It's not. They really need to move with the technology, whether it's updating the switches, updating the network, getting the network backend ready for something like this.
Something more robust.
Absolutely.
Well, and Todd, Todd, Chris does is primarily lives in the corporate AV world. Todd is primarily in residential. Is there anything, with the exception of obviously Xbox One, I don't know if it. Here's the thing with Xbox One. Xbox One, from a residential standpoint, they're still trying to be this cable center of your digital world, your home world. With the exception of maybe Xbox One, Todd, do you see anything that Microsoft has for residential, or is that pretty much the extent of it? And maybe bringing Lync calls home.
To be honest with you, the Xbox One, it's a newer technology, so I don't like to dabble in newer technologies. Obviously, Kinect has been out. It's been doing this thing for a while. But to be honest with you, this whole end is something new to me and something I've been working on, actually, with Rich Fogosa, because a client in the residential world wanted to do something with video conferencing. So we are actually working with one of the manufacturers Rich suggested in order to kind of get the customer the best visual, like Chris was saying, and also the best audio. But to be honest with you, it's kind of like something that I'm not as experienced in. So I kind of go to people like Chris.
But you will be. You
Yes,
will be
I will.
when my executive goes home and wants to call into his office. Now, in your commercial, my commercial side, and you're the residential side, and this is like, I'm Felix and he's who's the odd couple? We are definitely
Oscar.
the odd couple.
I think you're
Oscar
more
and Felix. Oscar and Felix.
Oscar. I would be more, I guess, Oscar.
Yes. Yes.
When that executive goes home, this is where Lync has the advantage over the standard VC systems. You have a computer at home, you have a setup at home. Is your home network going to be robust enough to give you that quality? And that's going back to what Jonathan was saying, is that if you don't have that immersive experience in the residential side, where is the home office technology that's going to link it back to the office? Is it still going to be just a guy sitting behind a laptop, or will Todd now start getting calls now for a more integrated system at home that they can come back to, dedicated lines, or whatever the case may be on the home front? That's the other side of video that is not within the control of the on-site corporate people, but they're the outsiders trying to access in.
Well, and here's back to John's point about getting, making sure that as integrators we're up on IT, and people are going to send me hate mail for this, and don't throw anything. This is where I see pro AV folks getting into the residential space, and this is where I see the danger for guys like Todd who live and work in Resi all day, because if I'm a pro integrator, pro AV integrator, I already have experience, right, with making sure the networks work and maybe possibly even setting up networks. I mean, there are companies, AV companies in St. Louis who they're 10, 20, 30% of their business is doing IT already, right? I mean, these are guys who are forward thinking and trying to hone their own IT skills. People like that, companies like that, pose a threat, I think, to residential who, if all you're doing is you're hanging a monitor and making sure that the Crestron is nice and pretty and pushes all the right buttons at the same time, and then they start asking you exactly what Chris said, hey, I want to start making Lync calls, or hey, I want to start doing some, making sure that my network is set up, and you give them that deer in the headlight look, you're in trouble. We need to be, our residential brothers and sisters need to be as up on IT as our pro people do, because you're going to start getting those calls, and you're going to start getting those specs that says, I need my network to be 10 gigabits for AVB or something.
The difference is that with residential, if you have when I'm at home, I talk to our people in Hong Kong all the time, and if we have delay or the call drops, it's no big deal, right? We get back on it 5 minutes later, it's okay. If I have 30 people sitting around a conference table in multiple facilities, which we have some in Kentucky, Wisconsin, Illinois, Hong Kong, Phoenix, Texas, I'm paying 30 people an average, let's say $100 an hour, whatever, and that call drops, it costs me a lot of money, right? So I have to, reinitiate the call, try to get everyone else back on it. So I think the home side of it's a nice to have, but it's not a have to have.
You don't think there's going to come a point where it's a have to have yet?
I think that people, like George said earlier, are okay at home with their music and their other things, with it just being all right,
okay.
Right? It can just be okay, but that's not the experience I need at work. We're a serious company with serious competitors. We got serious people on the line. It can't just be okay. So the other side of this whole IT integration is, how long before, if it does adapt to being just okay, does it try to make its way into life safety or emergency communications or et cetera, et cetera? As you guys probably know, MyTech, our parent company, owns IED, which is the world's largest airport communication company, right? We do the majority of the world's international airports. We've had people come to us and be like, just put it on the regular network. We don't need redundancy, et cetera. And we're like, oh, no. You absolutely need redundancy.
I'm sorry, are we talking about life safety here? Are you serious?
Well, listen, this is also, think about the people who put up the video wall in that airport that fell down.
Oh, well, yeah. There
come on, he's got a point. The simple fact is that some people aren't thinking about it.
Well, and I've sold, and I don't want to disclose numbers, but I've sold millions of dollars of IP speakers this year to applications that go into life safety, right? Schools, et cetera. And a large part of that, where people don't always think, because the IT managers now have the budget. It used to be the AV guys. Yeah. Now the IT guys have the money. So they go, I understand this. I understand how this VoIP thing works. I understand the resolution restraints and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to put this in school classrooms, et cetera. Okay, great. We love that. It's wonderful. Every speaker's its own zone, et cetera, et cetera. You got to make sure your network's, substantial, has redundancy, because God forbid there's ever an emergency in that school, and multiple people start making calls to the front office, or she's trying to pay them for multiple zones, and the system goes down. I'm scared of good enough. Good enough scares me.
To that point, John.
Bring back analog.
Jeez Louise.
18 gauge disappear.
Mm-hmm. Good night. Real quick, and we're going to take a break here. John, do you guys, as a company, and maybe you or other people that make speakers, is there something that you have in I don't know if it's a spec sheet or in your FAQ where you spell out, okay, if you're going to use my product, my IP speaker, you have to have X, Y, and Z minimums on your network?
So yes. How we do it as a company, and this is, I don't want to get too detailed into it, is we work with consultants and architects on a daily basis. We have a thing called Zendesk and Atlas Design Support, where we actually help compose the specifications. So we have network engineers on staff that will go in and look at the existing network and then make the recommendations of what the network has to have as far as power backup, switches, redundancy, etc., for what we require to sign off on it as a certified compliance system, right? And IED does the same thing. So we have two companies that both kind of do the same thing. And once that happens, I'm happy to extend warranties, discounts, et cetera, et cetera. And this goes back, Tim, and I know this is a different conversation, but the recurring revenue model is how the IT industry really keeps their guys funded on jobs that are already sold, right? They keep improving software, which we're going to talk about maybe later with this OpenSSL thing, but they keep improving, they keep making sure the network stays up, et cetera, the software has improvements. I think our industry absolutely has to adopt a similar model. It's not just selling a system anymore, because it's not analog anymore. We're going into this realm. We have to continually do software updates, firmware updates. We should be selling maintenance packages on everything going forward. It's becoming more common, and as soon as our products integrate with the network, that should be a requirement from every manufacturer.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my opinion. Well, and here's the thing: we'll talk about the BLC because John had an interesting conversation that I want to kind of hash over. That was the one common denominator, right? During the BLC, at least that's one of the things I took away from it, and that's the NSCA Business Leadership Conference in February in Dallas. I'll put a link to the couple different things that we've written about it, and other people have too. But service contracts, right? Service. I mean, everybody there, from the people in the audience to the speakers on stage, that was the primary driving thing, was you have got to start selling services. Because all of us, let's not pull any punches. All of us can sell pretty little boxes that do 1, 2, and 3 things, right? It's how you take care of the customer, and it's how you service them along the way that's really going to define your success or your failure. So.
And it's the customer experience, and what we're doing as a company, I know some others are, is we have to support our integrators that are trained, qualified, etc. So right now, some integrators sell services, but they don't necessarily have the backing of the manufacturer. So IED already sells a Platinum Insurance Plan, Atlas will, coming up at InfoComm. But what we're going to offer our integrators is we'll cover all of the firmware updates, software updates, failures in the field, even labor to replace a failure. Transducers don't go down a lot, but some of IP boards do some other times. We have to, as a group of manufacturers, start supporting the integrators so they're not left out to dry if something goes horribly awry, right? So I think that manufacturers need to get together and say this is kind of standardized how we can support our integrators, so they're comfortable in offering an extended warranty period or a maintenance program on the entire system, not just the labor, on the entire thing. So if something goes wrong, we have their back as manufacturers, and I hope that other manufacturers start offering similar programs.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. So.
Hey Tim.
Yes, sir.
In the world of like an IP-based hardware product, I have found that back in the day, it used to arrive in a box, and back in the day, meaning even 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, it arrived in a box. Either it worked or it didn't. And when it didn't work, it was because something was broken. You can shake it and hear something moving. Nowadays, it comes in the box, you plug it in, it doesn't work. Then you have to go through the process of let's reload the firmware, let's flash the drive, whatever the case is. It still doesn't work. You try it again, and it still doesn't work. Then you have to get on the phone with tech support. The problem and my gripe against the IP-based stuff that we're going into is that before it was a very quick, oh, here's the problem, let's get it out. Now it is half your day diagnosing what the problem is, reflashing firmware, getting guys on the phone. The process and the failure rates are out of control because this thing, as soon as you put it on the network, oh, you shouldn't have put it on the network and powered it on. You first power it on, then plug it in. The steps for every different thing is out of control.
Chris, the other thing we have to as manufacturers offer in the AV industry is 24/7 support. And that's something that the other manufacturers, including myself, we're just now offering it starting this year. We came out with product that you might be initiating on a job site at 7 p.m. on Saturday, and we didn't have support at that time. Yeah. So I think that all manufacturers that are offering a network device have to have 24/7 customer support to support you guys, because there's potential issues once you plug something on. Mm-hmm. And it's not just powered up where you plug in the plug in the network where you power it up. There's other things going on. And that's something that I think that all of us manufacturers can do better.
Chris, even in the mindset of the integrator, it was, you set this up in your shop, you test it, you bench test it, you run it through, and then you ship it to site with built. You get it to site, it was working in your shop. By the time you get it there, now that IP addresses have to change, that just locked up the board.
Chris,
when you unlocked it fried it. Oh my God. It happened in the analog days. Somebody get me a freaking vinyl record and a turntable, please.
Ahead, George.
Wow. I was about to say, and I'm going to deflate you now, Chris. Back in the day, a hit with a ball-peen hammer, that was considered maintenance, So.
Absolutely. Man, I saw video codecs fly off the top of TVs, land on the ground. You wiggled the camera, put it back on, it worked. If I see these days, it will fall apart.
The one thing I'll say in defense of the manufacturers, there's probably a manual somewhere, though, Chris, that tells you in what order to do it. So
and I agree, but man, in the manuals, you how many manuals are we gonna have to read now? Granted,
all of them, all of them.
Please.
Yeah, it's War and Peace when I have to build up every system, and
the manual mouse back.
Yeah. All right. Let's we've spent half an hour talking about Microsoft and IP. There we go. Let's talk about Middle Atlantic. This is the part of the show where I get to say, yay, we have a sponsor. Middle Atlantic and their TechPed technology pedestal. Todd Puma sent me a picture, and he hasn't responded yet, so I'm not going to use it, but it's a really sweet-looking Middle Atlantic rack. AVNation is proud to be sponsored exclusively by Middle Atlantic Products and their TechPed technology pedestals. For those of you listening and not watching, think about a really, really cool conference table with frickin' racks built into the legs. I said this last week, and I'll say it again. I'll probably be using this same story for the next couple of weeks because it's a good one. We sold a job, the guys that I work with. We sold a job in January. Programming was done. Everything was done. We did exactly what Chris said, built everything in the shop, tested everything out, and that stuff sat and gathered dust for 2 months while we waited on custom, quote-unquote, millwork. Mm-hmm. That's the industry term for somebody getting paid an awful lot of money to make a special fancy schmancy table that has holes poked through. Well, had I known about this product then, I would have spec'd it for the job. Because and think about it, guys. If your stuff is sitting in the warehouse and not in the client's office or conference room, guess what you're not getting? You're not getting paid either. So until suckers are installed and signed off on, you're not getting paid, regardless of when they ordered it, unless you have some weird deal. So yeah, I would have loved to spec this. Tons of colors, tons of different options. They have 2 pedestals and single pedestals. Single pedestal is more for like a huddle room. The 2 pedestal one is a great 8 chair, 10 chair conference table. On the website, when you click on it, it'll show you kind of how they build it out. You've got the 2 pedestals, which is the racks. You put the conference table on top of it with the cable poke throughs, and then you put all the finishes on, and there you have a fancy schmancy table that has racks and equipment built into it. All sorts of different options, wire mold and power and stuff like that. So check them out if you would, please. Go by their special AVNation website, middleatlantic.com/AVNation-TechPed. middleatlantic.com/AVNation-TechPed. Middle Atlantic Products, what great systems are built upon. You know what, guys? we spent some time talking about Microsoft, and I have no problem doing that. We have a bunch of stories, so let's just kind of go through these and see which ones kind of blow our skirts up for the next half an hour. First thing is we've got a story out of thejournal.com talking about PC shipment declines are down. Real question there is if they are down, guys, what's taking their place? as far as sources for the systems that we're doing. And Chris, we'll ask you that real quick. First, do you think that do you believe the story? Are PCs going away? And if they are, what's going to replace them as the sources for our systems?
No, PCs aren't going away.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. You know what? You asked me a question. I'm just going to give you a flat out answer.
I know.
No,
I like that about you.
Next person.
Next.
No. The reason why the shipment may be down is the proliferation of mobile and tablets and all that. This is just another one of those story pieces that are out there to scare the people. Oh my God, the PCs are going. They're not going to go away. Too many people rely on PCs.
All right.
Well, but the story is not necessarily about PC sales declining, but the rate of decline has slowed. Now, there's two things that could be said for that. Either there's a reinterest in PCs as a basis or as a fundamental, or we've hit rock bottom and there's nowhere else
and
to
see,
slide down.
That's the way I read it, was the fact that we've hit rock bottom, and they've kind of leveled out, and they're going to be what they are now, kind of like Chris's 8-track player sales back in the mid '80s. They kind of leveled out at about 0.
Come on, man.
So.
You didn't talk to me about the
My dad.
refurbishment.
You're the one. Yeah, you know what? You're the one that keeps asking for. You're the one
was
that keeps
upset,
asking
man.
for analog stuff all day. So
Because it works.
it worked.
You press play.
I'm going to get him a ball peen hammer for Christmas.
That would be nice. And I'm going to give him my
Let's drive it into my noggin.
I probably still have my 8-track of the Alvin and the Chipmunks Sing Country. So.
Oh my God, Tim! And you admitted that on air?
Oh yeah.
So moving away from that, but are PCs considered also these microcomputers? Because we're not talking tablets. There are this whole new line of microcomputers that people are using for numerous tasks, even as servers. And while it's not your traditional PC, it is a huge market. So I haven't read enough to say that that's what they're asking. But.
And that's where I was going with that, was the same, because PCs primarily have driven a lot of our content, right? Whether and we can go back to the Microsoft Lync discussion, but it also drives digital signage. It drives all these other things. But then you've got these single little hardware pieces like Bright Signs and people like them, who have got these small little micro pieces that's all they do, right? Bright Signs boxes, all they do is show pretty pictures and videos, and they scrape RSS feeds and stuff. So,
you know what I think's happening? I think that there was a race. I was one of those guys who got a new PC every 6 to 8 months, right? Because it was 800 megahertz, then 1 gigahertz, and 1.2 gigahertz, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That race slowed down. I'm talking to you guys right now on a flash-based Mac Air that's running an i7 at 2 gigahertz, and that race to make faster and faster computers kind of slowed down. So I don't need to get another one every year and a half. There's nothing else new out there. I also think that PCs are being purchased for recreational use. Like my children now all have iPads, etc. Yeah. A couple years ago, I'd have bought them all little laptop computers, right? So as far as our industry, I think if someone actually did a survey of the AV industry and PC sales to it, I think it would continue to grow, right? We're not, as an industry, getting away from PCs. It's not going to happen. It's a business use type thing. We use them for business, and they also drive a lot of our conference systems and AV systems. So I didn't put a lot of weight into it. I didn't see any radical change happening. We're not going to be running our AV systems off iPads anytime soon.
And Tim, I've been hearing about this for a couple years, and I know some companies have implemented this, which is more, instead of providing a laptop per se or a desktop PC, they're providing terminal access.
Mm-hmm.
That you basically get on boxes and you just drop them in, and you are, when you talk about unified communications and stuff, that's you sit at a desk, you pop in this box, you're now at the PC. Or you're at this desk, and the future of that is your phone is routed to that desk. You're not having assigned space. All your data is there in front of you. You go to another terminal, everything is there following you. The little PCs are definitely a very interesting thing, because a lot of them are just purpose built, and if the purpose is to do Excel, Outlook, whatever the company is that's using it for, it's a great little device. Back to Jonathan's point, it's not a race for speed. Everything is now cloud-based. A lot of things are well, not everything, but most of the things are out there floating in the network. You're not reliant on your computer outside of us running these podcasts and stuff like that to really give horsepower to the applications that you're using. The applications are out there. You're just accessing them. So I think it's a new different way of PCs, and the small PCs I definitely see as really getting in and perforating. My mouth doesn't want to talk to my head today, but they're really getting into the market and starting to take over that space as well and biting into the traditional PC environment.
Well, what's interesting is it's kind of the new old way, because when I first started working, we called them mainframes. And
I was about to say it's 1980 all over.
Exactly. And you've got one giant server somewhere in the back 40 in your back warehouse somewhere, and you've got all these cables, and you've got a little green screen, a little keyboard, and it all goes back there.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, thank you very much.
All I'm missing is the punch card.
Yeah. Actually, my first smartphone, that's what I made the sounds for it. So I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Anybody want to talk about Aero and the Supreme Court? And I've got my own personal feelings.
I have a really big opinion on this one, because I've been on the CEA board for years and years and years, and that poor company. They followed the laws
to the letter.
To the letter, right?
Yep.
They did exactly what the laws spell out. Innovation drives our economy. It drives this country. And if you follow the rules and you get punished afterwards, I have a real problem with that.
Yep.
This goes back to the Betamax. It goes back to all the things that we've argued in the past that have made our lives so much better.
Here's the thing. It goes back to cable. All right. What most people don't realize is cable started out doing just this thing. Cable TV started out in this country in the 1950s and 1960s as a freaking repeater system, because people on the backside of some mountain somewhere couldn't get it, right? And they were repeaters. That was it. Sorry, go ahead.
And they wanted to get rid of antennas in big urban areas.
Yeah.
I feel like we're reliving the moment in Blazing Saddles. Gentlemen, we have to save our phony bowling jobs. And this is what the cable companies are doing. I could just see Jim Dolan going, "Hello, girls. I'll see you in a little bit." But it's really irritating me. I live in right next to and lived in the city for 20 years, New York City, and they're doing everything they're supposed to, and everyone's going, "Oh, you can still make money?"
Yeah.
And they're not stealing anything. This is my problem. What they're getting is other carriers saying, "Well, I don't have to pay as much because I'm not paying for your pipe." And it really irritates me that they're saying to the person who doesn't want their bloody box and their bloody cable and wants it on the little thing in front of them on their desk is going to have to be forced to use their version of something.
Yeah.
Right, and George, I could do this at my house for you, right? I could, in fact, record over-the-air transmissions at my house and stream them directly to your house.
Mm-hmm.
How is that breaking the law? It's something that's free out there. I mean, this thing really perturbs me, and I'm not happy with it. And I think there could be a resolution. Don't allow the skipping of commercials, don't do time shifting, etc. But I think Aero did nothing wrong, and I hope they prevail in this case.
Yeah, but John, if you do that, if you make that like Aero's like one little, you have to do that. Then they have to do the same thing to DirecTV, to Charter, to Cox, to Time Warner. Not allow them to skip, because let's be honest here. That's how DVRs became so popular.
But I was under the impression that the Time Warner, the Cox, etc. are actually paying for that feeds. Right?
Okay.
But I might be totally wrong.
I hadn't heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I actually thought that the cable companies had worked out a deal with the NBCs, ABCs of the world to actually pay for that feed. But I don't know. Maybe George, Chris, Todd knows.
Well,
I don't
carriage
know.
fees are the dirty little secret. It's how broadcasters make a good deal of their money. Look at ESPN. It is the king, and it's making more money at being paid for people to carry them, so that local networks can insert a local ad or two here and there to make a good deal of money. And it's a dirty little secret, but it's where they make their money. It's more than what they make on most of the advertising.
Well, that's how they started, right? I mean, if you can YouTube the very first few minutes of ESPN, and it's kind of weird and nostalgic and sad. But at first, they had no commercials, right? They made their money when satellites became more and more popular and more viable as a transportation medium for audio and video. People like ESPN and CNN and HBO. Honestly, these were some of the first satellite-based channels for a lot of cable companies. That's how they made money. You didn't make money any other way, but you were paid X amount of dollars. A lot of times it was based on subscriber base to have the privilege to carry Disney or Nickelodeon, what have you. So.
And if they are succeeding in blocking Aero, are they going to be able to succeed in blocking me somehow legally from saying, hey, I have an off-air HD antenna in the top of my house. I've replaced 2 cable boxes with 2 HD off-air antennas. I have an HD box now, but I'm going to replace that soon with just a Roku and an internet feed, right? But I know how to record from that HD antenna. Mm-hmm. I go right up to my DVR. I know how to do it. Am I now longer allowed? And does that mean then we have to backtrack the Betacam that carrot case that let us do that? It's for my private use.
Yeah.
Aero's not inserting any advertising over any of this stuff. It is giving it raw feed, and it's giving you a DVR to say that's what I wanted to record. How is it different from TiVo, from what Replay is or was, from what Roku does? How is it different? I don't get it. And they're just trying to kill off an entire innovative industry because they don't see a way for them to make mega dollars instead of a gob of dollars.
The difference is that none of us were wearing robes this week. In the Supreme Court, and here's the thing. That's the other thing that kind of gets me, and it's the fact that there are decisions being made by well-intentioned, incredibly intelligent on a lot of different areas, but when it comes to technology, the judiciary in this country, unfortunately, is sorely underserved and ignorant. And I'm using the term properly here, where they are ignorant of technology and its true uses and its true intentions. So,
well, and Tim, I have to interject here. That's why I think the CEA is so important. Mm-hmm. And anyone that's not a member of the CEA should become a member of the CEA.
Consumer Electronics Association.
Absolutely. Yeah. Little self-serving there. My father was the chairman at one point.
No, I just want to make sure people understood what CEA stood for.
Yeah, the Consumer Electronics, they really do protect innovation, and they're really out there making sure that, consumers' lives get better. Innovation can help us all, and it has.
Yeah. Mr. Neto, Mr. Puma, you guys want to, what are you holding up? I can't, the contrast.
I won't say it, but it says save Ferris.
Oh, save Ferris.
I said we start the freaking campaign. I'm with you. I can't believe that we're, in the 2000s, we should have floating cars. That's not working yet.
Hoverboards,
but we can't get past this point with the cable companies. They're still jamming it to us. And like you guys said, and I've read it, and I follow this story, a company doing everything by the book.
Yep.
Okay? Yep. Even following the path of the cable companies when they were becoming what they are today, gets jammed and gets put to the side. You know what, man? It's time. We throw a rally. I'm out.
Good job.
This thing is fixed.
Todd, you wanna comment or that, or just let Mr. Neto step out?
Listen, you ended that with a high note right there. I just think it's kind of tacky, to be honest with you, the way they're trying to do things. They're working against us, not with us. And anytime someone's trying to do the right thing, we're constantly going after a person who's always doing the wrong thing. And businesses today, it's sickening. That's what it is. Because Aero is doing the right thing in this situation. Make things easier, less information that's broadcasted out. Who wants to watch commercials anyway? And when you're going on the DVRs now and you're on demand, now you're getting commercials when you're watching these shows. That drives me crazy because the whole point of on demand was just watching it and kind of getting right to the show, not all these commercials that come in. It's the same commercial over and over and over again. I'm sure it's driving everybody nuts, not just me.
Damn the man.
Damn the man on that note. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I have no problem with brothers and sisters trying to make money, but this is just, it's kind of silly. All right.
Well, I mean, that brings up one of the stories about the fun thing from Time Warner, no?
Yeah, that's a good segue because it has no DVR. It has no time shift, and I have no interest in it if it doesn't. The only time I watch cable or TV in my house that's not on Netflix or Hulu or Apple TV is by, my wife records The Voice or, something that's happening that night, and that's the only purpose I see for my current cable. That, and I can't have my super high-speed internet unless I pay them $200 for my cable every month.
Wow.
But a new cable box that doesn't have DVR recording, and I can't time shift my programming, I don't see it working.
No.
It's a Roku.
It's a live Roku. But here's the thing.
It's their late attempt to do something about it. But it is a much better graphical interface. I mean, you have to also admit that they've been hamstrung, a lot of these cable companies, by the fact that their boxes are made by Scientific Atlanta, others like that.
Well, Scientific Atlanta and Motorola. Those are the two big ones.
And Motorola. And I was trying to stop myself from preceding that with
at this point.
Here's the thing. I said this before when we were talking off air, and I'll say it here. I really tried to do the cable cutting, the cord cutting. I got rid of cable. I still have the internet. My kids primarily watch Netflix, this, that, and the other. And everything was going fine. Everything was groovy. You know, no big deal. And the kids there was not some great revolt. It's no big deal. They each have a Roku in their rooms and a TV, and they're good. You know, watch Netflix or what have you. And then baseball season started. And not so much for me, but my wife is a huge St. Louis Cardinal fan, and we live. Our DMA is St. Louis. And all the research and everything I was trying to do could not get live Cardinal baseball, not even shifted by 5 or 10 minutes, live Cardinal baseball legally on any sort of our devices. And so finally, I mean, as we record this now, I said this before, there's a DirecTV guy at my house, setting up another sort of a service, because it's not because yes, you can give them they're evil and stuff, but they're also hamstrung by some of their contracts, right?
Or is it because they don't sell it every game, and if they did, it would be over the air?
Well, see, that's the thing is, I can get MLB, right, which is one of the things I was going to do. It was $120, $150, but if it's in market or it's being shown in market, they black it out. I couldn't get it. I can't watch it, and I can't even watch. Let's say they're playing the Cubs, right? I couldn't watch it on Fox Sports Midwest, which is our local St. Louis channel, or neither can I watch it on WGN, which is the Cubs broadcaster. Now, I can watch it after the fact, right? I can go back and DVR, basically a virtual DVR. But these guys are also hamstrung by their contracts, and some of their contracts go out to 2016, 2020. I think the NFL contract in 2020, 2021. And until their contracts come up, they can't do anything, right? And will they do anything at 2020? Who knows? Maybe the NFL will do something, and they'll say, you know what? Screw you guys. We're going to make our own app, our own channel, our own network. We don't need any of you. We're just going to sell it for $100, $200 a season. And instead of making $9 billion, they could make $18 billion right there. I mean,
Tim?
Yes.
That actually just brought up something in my head, and I got to get it out.
Shoot.
Look at them, and you may have covered this in a previous show. I don't know, but look at what WWE is doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
$10 a month. Their pay-per-views are now off. You can now get whatever their pay-per-views are, which were $50, $60 a pop. You get them by paying a subscription fee of $10 a month for their service and all their shows and all their back catalogs and all that. I can't stress enough how revolutionary that is in my head for some reason, is that they have taken everything and basically just said, we're just going to create our own channel over the internet, and they just cut everybody out.
And once some of these contracts are up, I think some of these sports franchises will do that. But they have contracts, right? That last until who knows, when. And then once those contracts, as they come up for renewal, I think that more and more sports franchises will take a look at what the WWE is doing, and emulate it in some way, shape, or form. So. Yes, sir. Yes, John. Anybody?
It still doesn't fix the problem that I can't get 40 megabits a second in my house without cable.
That's your supplier.
The oldest infrastructure in the world still powering our phone and internet service. I mean, please.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for fiber, for crying out loud.
I can't get Fios, and I am 30 minutes outside of New York.
That's silly to me.
I live 10 miles out of New York, and I can't get fiber.
John, how far away do you live from New York?
A couple thousand miles, but I can say that the Cox download station is literally across the runway on the other side. I see their dish, and there is no way if I cut off my cable subscription for the internet that I want, my price goes up $150 a month.
Oh.
So I might, by just buying the cable with the internet, it's a package deal.
It's
costs
free
less,
at that point, dude.
Maybe those Google drones or those Facebook drones. Maybe sooner or later I'll get my internet from drones. I don't know.
Google balloons.
Yeah.
This may be a silly question, but do the old satellite dishes still exist? There was like a big. I remember growing up. My dad had the big satellite dish with the motor.
The
that
C-band and the KU bands, yeah.
Are they still out there?
Absolutely. Well, how do you think you get everything, dude? I mean, that's the thing.
No, I'm saying people actually still get them and put them 10-foot dishes on their houses. I don't live in a place that has that, so I don't know.
You could in theory. I mean, there's a lot of free to air on those dishes. That everything's moved to digital now instead of analog. But there's a lot of free to air. NASA's service is free to air, which means that there's no encryption. You don't have to have a special unencryption boxes to it. You just got to find the bird and connect to it. Honestly, our buddy Michael Drainer works for Sennheiser. Does that on the side for a couple of stations in St. Louis, still some small power, and I'll help him out from time to time, and we'll be setting up a satellite dish, and we'll watch NASA and there's a couple arts and entertainment, not A&E specifically, but a couple arts programs. So yeah, you absolutely can.
Cool. All right. I didn't know that was still out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right.
Like movement.
That's gonna do it for this week. We'll hit it with the 2-for-1 deal. Chris Netto and Todd Puma. Thank you guys.
Thank you, man.
Where can people, Todd? Let's start with you. Where can people find you and your fine company, and then the Red Band stuff?
You can find me at www.thesourcehometheater.com or on Twitter at Todd Anthony Puma.
And Mr. Netto?
I can be found just about anywhere. On Twitter, it's at Chris_Netto. You can find me at avshop.com. You can find me at the Red Band site. You can find me at chopshopmics.com. You can find me just about anywhere. I'm easily found.
Yeah, you're an easy guy to find. Real quick, just to show it here. This is Todd's rack, which by the way is a Middle Atlantic rack. It's pretty nice. So there's a DM what? It's not a DMPS, so it's a DM 8x8.
DM 8x8, that's correct.
Yeah, that's a nice.
In a swamp, 24x8.
Nice.
The rest of his neighbors are complaining because their lights are flickering, but
I need to show my wife that.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. All right, thank you guys, Mr. Tucker, George Tucker from World Stage. Where can people find you?
Tucker Tuesday. Tucker Tues on Twitter. I write for EH Pubs, specifically Commercial Integrator, Corporate Tech Decisions for Red Band, for you, and a host of others.
You write for me? Holy cow! Wow.
Poetry.
I wrote what he was saying right now.
Oh, there. All right. So last but not least, John Ivey. Well, from a lot of companies, but let's talk about Atlas Sound. Where can people find you or Atlas Sound, sir?
Yep, www.atlassound.com, Twitter Atlas Sound. Of course, I work with IED and www.mytechusa, spelled MITEK, USA.com.
And that's the parent company there. So.
Yep, that's the parent company.
That'll hold everybody. All right. Don't follow me. Go to the website. They spent a lot of time, they being the people who built it, not me, spent a lot of time on it. AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. The writer, Mr. Tucker, has a new show coming out called The Lighting Guy Show. Is that right?
Yes, The Lighting Guy Show.
The Lighting Guy Show.
With James P. Bedell.
James P. Bedell. Lots of emphasis there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about commercial lighting basics, how to integrate them, the tools, the tips, the technology, designers, all kinds of cool stuff.
Very cool.
Hey, Tim.
Yes.
Not going to let you go. Not yet.
What? Oh, dadgummit. Hang on. Well, let me get through this and we'll talk about that. That program, our AV app show, and this, that, and the other. So yeah, go by the website, avnation.tv. Last year at InfoComm, we had a little soiree, the AV tweet up on, I think last year it was on Thursday. So, Mr. Netto.
We're back. And we're better than ever. No, this year we're gonna do something. what I was hoping that you were going to segue into before you cut this program
I forgot. Well, we're at an hour.
Why
So.
don't you drop what AVNation is doing at InfoComm, man?
Okay.
We're just not going.
Well, we're going. I mean, we're not going to have a
You're not
booth.
going to be an innocent bystander there, please.
I am always
Talk about
innocent.
What you're doing. Unleash the beast.
Okay, so here's what we've got as of today's date and what we know so far. We're going to be at InfoComm. We will have a booth of some sort. They're still working out the details. And we will have a get-together, another AV tweet up. It'll be on Wednesday afternoon, probably around 4:30. What?
It's a party.
I thought you were going to correct me. I'm like, I think that's right. So Wednesday of InfoComm. Stay tuned to this program and others on the channel. We'll talk about it. We'll put a big tweet up on it. So we're going to shoot for like 4:30 as you're leaving the show floor. You can come by, hang out, get some refreshments, meet some cool people. Last year there was about 150, 200 people that kind of got together, so it was a really cool time. We had giveaways.
Names.
Do what?
Putting faces with Twitter handles.
Tech Chi. That was the first time I met Tech Chi.
Oh, yes.
And that was odd. Not she's odd, but she's like, I'm Tech Chi, and it took me for a second. I'm like, oh, so. I think this year we're going to put name tags on our. My name is Tim, and this is my Twitter handle. So yeah, if you're going to InfoComm, please make arrangements to come by. Like I said, Wednesday afternoon. On your way to one party or another, swing by as you're leaving the show floor, and come and say hi. So we're nice people. George doesn't bite much, and Matt Scott has had his shots. So,
but you know what, Tim? Though,
yes.
One last thing. If they don't come to us, we're coming to you.
That's true, because we're going to have some guys, some rabid people.
Full force. We're going to hit up the booths. We're going to put some things in action. I got some messages from Mark Coxon. He's looking to create some debauchery and test out just as far as, there's 300 feet of RJ45 terminated cable in between two.
Was it HD-based T he did last year?
Actually work. He wants to do Plug Fest. He's an angry fellow who's looking to see what these AV companies can do with their products. So we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah.
More so than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year Mark actually promised a wrap off with one of the people from Vadio, and that never happened. So let's see if we can do that. So. But yeah, if you're going to InfoComm, please stop by. We'll have more information as the weeks come and go. But yeah, we're very cool, very excited about the tweet up and everything. So come by and see us. Go by the website. You'll find out all information there. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been AV Week.